It is 1 o'clock p.m. on the East Coast. It is 10 a.m. on the West Coast. It is the 29th of August in the year of our Lord 2020. Season 11, Episode 7, 540 times this face and or this voice has welcomed you to the Clubhouse Podcast. Normally live from Vocal Studios in North Dallas / Addison, Texas. But it is pay-per-view weekend, and it is going to be a huge weekend in the history of Sooner Gator Productions. We're going to tell you about that here in just a little while. Welcome. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast, and I'm a little tired. Not going to lie to you. It's been a week. Let's go around the dais in order of who logged in when. We start with the lady of the house who is sprucing up her area so that you have more to look at when she's talking. She is Jen Rome. Hello, friend.
Hello, everyone. So glad you're back with us once again.
In the next square is the official fact checker of Sooner Gator Productions and a man who may want me to, but I will never refer to him as the pit boss. You may know him as Igbunu, but his mama named him Don Ford. I'm going to call him Don Ford. Hey, brother.
No, the pit boss is the pit boss. I'm not going to go.
Named the grill yet?
We got to do that. That's one thing we'll do. We'll name her.
All right.
Okay.
Rounding out the dais is my co-host and a man who can attest to the grilling skills of one Don Ford. He is Alex. Hey, brother.
I don't know if I can support naming a grill. I have never heard that in my entire life.
I would like to hear feedback on the barbecue, though.
Oh, I was planning on talking to Don directly, although I don't think everybody on the panel got to partake, so I wasn't going to go with it, but it was amazing.
Jen Rome did ask me in pre-show.
Okay. Yes, the grilling was fantastic.
And
thank you. And that was leftovers.
And for Alex to say that after having to reheat it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I am very anti-reheated barbecue, which is also why I'm fat.
Did I put some of that potato salad on the plate?
You did not.
Oh, I'll have to do that.
But I have had it before, so that wouldn't be a new thing. And you were spot on. That turkey was otherworldly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don did some turkey breast. He did some ribs. I went to Sam's and picked up their amazing deviled egg potato salad.
Which is awesome.
Which might be the best potato salad of
which
all.
At least 75% of this panel approves of. I don't know if Jen Rome has tried it. So
I have not.
Put that on your list. I'll bring you some whenever we're within a block of each other or something. So we hate to start the show on a down note, but there's no way we can't talk about this. Last night, probably in the realm of about 9:30 Central, I got a text from friend of the show, Brad Zabel, that I was talking to my goddaughter on the phone at the time, and it stopped everything. Before I could react to it, you guys know the policy of the show. I have to go find 3 credible sources backing it up. And then it dominated my social media feed for about 3 hours, and the remnants of which are still there. Last night, at the age of 43, the world gave back Chadwick Boseman to the stars after a 4-year battle with colon cancer that nobody knew about. I'm still dealing with it. Like, it stopped everything, and with everything else going on right now, it's just like, come on, 2020, what are you doing? This is a guy that played James Brown. He played Jackie Robinson, ironically, the day after the Major League Baseball thing, which I thought was interesting. And T'Challa, of course. I don't have words right now. This man, from all accounts, nothing short of a quality human. He did SNL a couple of years ago. Somebody actually put up the Black Jeopardy sketch that he did for that. That was absolutely hilarious. One of the cornerstones of the MCU. I don't care how late that movie came into play. That character is one of the major players on how that entire story worked out from Civil War on, even before there was a Black Panther movie. They introduced the character, I thought, brilliantly. He played it brilliantly. I have not seen, as of yet, I haven't seen Taika's statement yet, but I'm sure he will be releasing something. I know that Josh Gad released a statement where he shared with everyone the last text conversation they had. I'm going to defer to you guys. I know that you guys probably have some things you want to say about the greatness that is Chadwick Boseman and the loss therein.
One of the things that I've looked at that really resonated with me was, interestingly enough, a funny story about Rachel Robinson, Jackie Robinson's widow, who had been trying to get 42 made for years, to the point where in interviews she talked about that if they made the movie when she wanted to, she would have cast Sidney Poitier.
Oh, wow.
And then when they tried to come back to it, it was Denzel. And when it finally got around to Chadwick Boseman, the first time she met him, she went, "Okay, now who are you?" Which is an absolute gut check. But for even her to come after the fact, and you can find some really sweet pictures of the two of them, where she said, "This is absolutely the right man. No matter who you had going forward, it was meant to fall this way because he was such a respectful, talented individual." Now, I will always love that sketch where people were talking about what Black Panther meant to them, and he was there, and you could see the genuine joy on his face as well. So it's one of those where you just have that cycle of positivity. And interestingly enough, there is also the kind of learning experience when you think about how it was the big C, which we all have a different letter to start with for that one. But the man battling his own cancer never missed a date visiting children's cancer wards. And even going through, and it's funny because I was actually watching in my opinion, underrated movie with Boseman as a supporting actor, which is Draft Day with Kevin Costner.
Oh, yes. I love that movie.
And do you remember the story of why his character was falling in the draft, or why it was expected to fall in the draft? Because he got ejected in the biggest game of the year, because when he scored, or when he picked off the Heisman Trophy winner and scored a touchdown, he ran the length of the field to give the football to his sister, who had cancer and passed right after the game. So there's like this whole circle.
Oh, wow.
And it broke me. I am not ashamed to admit that I am very much in touch with my emotions. I needed about 20 minutes.
You're not alone in that boat. There's a lot of people that were just like, I can't stop crying.
Mm-hmm.
And, anybody else want to chime in before we move on?
Well respected around the community is what I heard. Well respected, down to earth. And how he did, 7 films in the last 4 years?
Yeah.
Doing 1 film, let alone 7? Yeah.
In between treatments.
Yeah. I don't know.
He will be sorely missed. 43 years old. I can't wrap my brain around it. As Jen Rome said to me in pre-show, get your checks, kids. As men, that's not something that we look for me for a couple of more years. But if you have a family history of these things, you need to be checked. It's that simple. Hashtag ask us why we do this. All right, let us try to push forward as best as we can. We will start. Today is the regular season finale for the NASCAR. We are at Daytona today. So, and in Daytona 4, I believe, what happened here? What's going on here? No, I got that done. Let's kill this. Okay, it just reset itself. That's okay. I believe we're at the Coke Zero Sugar 400 today. I'm not even drinking Coke Zero right now. I apologize, NASCAR. But that race will be today. It's 160 laps, 400 miles at Daytona. And it's going on right now, I believe. You can watch that on your NBC proper. Here's how the playoffs are going to start next Sunday, Labor Day weekend. Oh, I like the name of this race at the Darlington Raceway, 367 laps, 501 miles, something we were just talking about. It's called the Cookout Southern 500. I endorse this fully and wholeheartedly. Because you can't say it unless you say it like the way I just said it. There's no, the Cookout Southern 500. You can't, it's the Cookout Southern 500. No other way to say it. And then after that, on Saturday, September 12th at Richmond, we will have the Federated Auto Parts 400, followed again on Saturday the 19th at Bristol for the Bass Pro Shops Night Race. All of those races will be on the NBC Sports Network, but let's look at who really matters in those races. Really, only one person can make a move right now and get into the playoffs after today. And if you, and because they're only taking the top, well, hold on, I got to do that. They did this stupid thing again. Hold on. I could be wrong and probably am. All right. Okay, now I know where I'm at. I apologize. So really only one person has a shot to get in right now. And if you ever thought you'd see the day where I said the man on the outside looking in is seven-time champion Jimmy Johnson, he is the odd man out right now.
But he has a big asterisk with his name because he
Correct.
did miss multiple races due to a COVID scare.
But this last week, he dropped to get into 6th to 17th place. However, he's only 9 points behind the made guy, Matt DiBenedetto, who he is 5 points behind the poet, William Byron. So Jimmy Johnson, if he has a decent showing today, he could even leapfrog Byron because he's only, my math is fuzzy here. He's only like 6 points back on him.
See, interestingly, I'm showing him 9 points back on 15, but I know you have more updated rankings.
Right, I sorted it by playoff rank instead of regular position.
Gotcha.
Because really that's what it has to be at this point because we have to talk about who's actually in the chase. So going up the list, you've got it in 14th, Kurt Busch. He is behind Bowyer. Bowyer is behind Kurt's brother, Kyle Busch. Then you have Almirola. And then in currently in 10th place projected, one of my favorite NASCAR names ever, Cole Custer. If he doesn't have a frozen treat chain, there's something wrong. Custer is back on Austin Dillon, the new sheriff in town, who's behind the Archer Bowman. The Stone is ahead of Bowman. Truex is ahead of Blaney, but Truex is behind Logano. Then you have Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, and Kevin Harvick. Only your top 3 seeds match what they are currently going into Daytona. But again, this is it. You don't make it in. You still race, but you're not in it for the money. So there is that. I want to talk something as we get into sports. Actually, I'm going to say this at the end of sports because it's a good transition out of sports into TV talk. Alex, I want you to celebrate today.
Oh, I know.
I want you to feel good about yourself on most fronts when it comes to this particular subject.
I have a point after this, but please finish.
Jennifer Lopez and A-Rod out of the bidding to buy the Mets. Alex does not have to put his fandom up for auction.
And who's the first person who texted me on that? Nana.
I was going to say probably Nana because Nana was the one that had most emotions in this game.
Yes, she did.
She was not happy about you getting ready to put your fandom up for auction.
To be fair, she wasn't as upset about the fandom as much as the history that was there between her and my grandfather having worked for the Mets for years. And as I very delicately put it, I am not putting my past up for auction should this abomination of excuses for humanity by the team, but just my future rooting interest, which no longer applies. So let's go Mets.
It was weird yesterday to hear that Monday's the trade deadline.
Yeah.
This whole time frame has still gotten me all kinds of twisted. So
if it doesn't, I have serious questions.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's get into the standings. Oh, speaking of which, I got to tell this quick story. So I was having a conversation online with friends of the show, Devin Pike and Chance Munsterman. Oh, no, it was Devin and somebody else. But somebody had made a post about something that was supposed to happen a week later, making it sound like it happened that day. And I was like, did I sleep through a week? And Devin's response was, well, if you would, that would make you Robert Van Winkle. And I said, I hate you so much right now. I hate you so much right now.
Okay, can we, as a panel, pretend like Rob's not here? We're all going to refer to him as Rip moving forward, okay?
Okay.
Remember what you're setting yourself up for if you do.
Oh, I'm aware.
Because I don't know where the finish line is, so I'll just keep going until it's dead.
Yeah.
All right, standings. AL East. The Boston Red Sox, dear God. 10-22 right now. They're 11.5 back.
Did you see the post that's been following this, though?
I have not.
Because one of the regular billboards behind home plate is kids eat free when the Red Sox win, and it just keeps having the title that says, oh, those starving children.
That is important.
God.
They're 4.5 back on the Orioles. The Orioles now 2.5 back on Toronto. Toronto's a half game back on the Yankees. The Yankees now 4 back on Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's won 3 in a row.
Tampa Bay's been playing good ball.
In the AL Central, the Royals are still terrible. They're 12-20, but they're only 8 games back. They're 2.5 back on Detroit. Detroit is now back on a 3-way tie for first place in the division with Minnesota, Cleveland, and the White Sox. But the latter of those two, the latter two of those 3 are on 3-game win streaks, whereas Minnesota's lost 2 in a row.
I can't wait to see this end like this and just see what hecticness breaks down.
In the AL West, currently in last place in that division, they're 11-22. They're 11.5 games back. They're a game and a half back on Seattle. Seattle's a half game back on the Rangers, still in the middle of the pack. The Rangers are 5 back on Houston. Houston is 4.5 back on Oakland. As we get to the National League, in the NL West, the Arizona Diamondbacks, they may be 5 games below 500, but they're 9.5 back. They are a half game back on the Giants. The Giants are 2 back on the Rockies. The Rockies are 3 back on the Padres, but Misty's beloved Dodgers are still 4 up in that division. Hey, Don, the Pirates still suck.
So, yeah, we won a doubleheader yesterday, though. We got that going
still
for us.
don't have double-digit wins.
I don't believe you won a doubleheader because your streak currently says lost 1.
They may have lost today, but they won 2 yesterday.
It's too early for them to have played today.
Or 2 days ago, I mean. 2 days ago.
It's only
2
1
days ago.
Eastern.
No, 2 days ago they won the doubleheader. So in the last 3 games, we're 670 in the last 3 games.
You know, he is factually accurate, and they did sweep the Cardinals.
Yeah, so there. We're getting on that rebound.
Yeah, but the Cardinals are also on a 3-game losing skid.
Well, 2 of those are to the Pirates, so they count double.
Well,
Yeah, sure.
but you're 4 games back on Milwaukee, who was tied with the Red. They're both a game back on St. Louis. St. Louis now 3 back on the Cubs. But the Cubs and St. Louis both on 3-game losing streaks. And in the only division that matters, the NL East, the Nationals. Aren't they defending world champions? 12-17, 5 back in the division. They're 2 back on the Phillies, who are tied with the Mets.
Suck it,
Alex,
Phillies.
I think you guys are almost caught up.
But the Mets beat the Mets. Or
Oh, no, you're still
okay.
6 games down in games played. Because you played 31.
It's not too terribly far behind, especially when it turned out that all of the positive tests from the outbreak turned out to be fake. Or excuse me,
No,
false.
you guys are caught up because you've played as many games as the Braves have.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen the total number.
Yeah, Miami's 4 behind, but they're 2 games back on Atlanta.
I think Miami has a few games to catch up on.
Well, then let's talk about the I still haven't heard anybody call it the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, nor have I.
They still keep calling it
Just the NHL playoffs.
Yeah.
NHL playoffs. And that kind of concerns me. In the Eastern Conference, Philly and New York tied at a game apiece. Tampa Bay up 2-1 on the Bruins. In the Western Conference, Las Vegas and Vancouver locked up at a tight 1-1 apiece. Dallas takes a 2-1 lead over Colorado. So that's where we are at.
Vancouver?
Was it Vancouver?
Yeah, I think Colorado's the other side.
No, Colorado's playing Dallas.
Right.
Vancouver's playing. Now you're going to make me look this up again.
Yeah, Vancouver's playing Vegas. You
Right.
said Vegas has a 2-1 lead over Colorado.
No, they're locked up in a tight one at 1 apiece.
Okay, we got all messed up then.
No, I think I read it right. Stopping the showdown, stopping the showdown, stopping the showdown. Here is the question of the week, though. Is the Big Ten backpedaling?
The players are hoping so.
Because now discussions are underway that the Big Ten may have a season for football starting Thanksgiving weekend. And can we stop, please, with the how does this affect the playoff system? There isn't going to be one. Because the NCAA has said there will be no fall sports championships. So any form of bowl season or playoff system around the holidays is not going to happen officially. And if they decide they're going to go rogue and do it on their own, that's a whole different ballgame, no pun intended.
And they need to talk to UCF about that.
Beat people of consequence. That's what kills them, is strength of schedule.
Yeah.
I don't care what people in Orlando say. I've said this for years. If I spend all season beating up on St. Mary's College for the Blind in a Walmart parking lot, that doesn't mean I'm a champion.
I would rebut that with UCF has consistently had a stronger strength of schedule than most of the Big Ten.
And how many championships does the Big Ten have in the last decade?
None. But what I'm saying is the argument you're making doesn't apply because just it's a Power 5 conference. The big argument that UCF has in that regard is that they beat the number 5 team in their bowl game, so they did beat multiple teams that were ranked that season. The problem is
the 5 team is the champion, right?
You said beat somebody of consequence. Anybody in the top 10 would be consequence. I'm not saying that they're champions, but what I'm saying is they beat multiple ranked opponents, so your argument in that is invalid. I'm not saying that they were champions at all.
Allow me to rephrase.
Okay.
Win games in the top 10 consistently within the same season, you can be considered for a playoff.
Or join a conference that matters.
I don't like the whole conference part of it.
I don't either.
But my point is, go dominate Division II.
There is also that.
The whole UCF argument annoys me greatly.
Mm-hmm.
I will not discount who they are. I respect UCF. But broken clock's right twice a day. If you can beat multiple top 10 teams within the same season consistently, I absolutely will consider you in the bigger picture. But just because Texas Tech beat Texas that one time doesn't make them a national championship contender.
Michael Crabtree.
Exactly. And it wears me out. And it's something that we never talk about this show, but it does impact the world of sports in the biggest of ways. How old is Lionel Messi now?
He was younger than I thought he was when I saw the number, but I'd have
He
to
was
look it up.
13 when he started playing with Barcelona. And now he's what, his early 30s? Don, give me a fact check on that.
Okay.
How old is Lionel Messi?
I was on it. He's 33.
Okay.
So for
33.
15 years, he has played for the same soccer club. And now he's just like,
Respect
hey,
to calling it a club because that's accurate.
thank you, because I know my terminology. So now he's just like, hey, deuces, I'm out. And now he's going to play for Manchester?
Well, did you see the disclaimer in his contract
I did not.
that it frees him up to play for New York if he so chooses?
He ain't playing in the MLS.
You don't know how much money's behind some of that. Think about why David Beckham came over here. He came over here to dominate, keep his brand alive for a little bit longer, and get paid millions.
Yeah, but he didn't
Plus, Messi spends a lot of time in New York. So why not get paid while you're there?
But for me, that just reinforces the MLS is the Oakland Raiders of soccer.
I prefer the minor leagues, but
No, it's where guys go to end their careers.
that's fair.
It's the retirement home of soccer. That's why I say Oakland is the retirement home of the NFL, because that's where they all go. Jason Witten.
Okay, you have Witten and Jerry Rice. I'm going to need a third example.
The center. Can't remember his name. All-pro center. Spent like a year there. Randy Moss.
Randy Moss went to the Patriots after that.
But
So,
still, he shouldn't.
no.
He was done by
No,
that.
he was still young when he went to the Raiders. That doesn't apply. Are you talking about Rodney Hudson?
I don't remember offhand, but I know there was an all-pro center that went there, and I believe I would put Derek Carr on that list.
But he's always been on the Raiders.
I thought he
He
started
didn't go there. No, that's David Carr. That's his older brother.
Okay, still, I'm just saying.
This is an off-air discussion.
But you're asking me to produce something like offhand, and this is something that's been in
Right,
existence
but
for
you
years.
took such a passionate stand about the Raiders being where people go to end their
It
career,
is,
and you only have
But
two
it is.
examples.
There's no other team that will take older guys like that and keep them for a year or two. And if I remember correctly, Rice didn't end his career in Oakland.
No, I think he tried to play for the Seahawks and failed.
So
now you only have Jason Witten, and that's not even established. So you're ruining your own argument.
No, I'm not ruining my own argument because my argument holds up. Because he has to play there and play decently to go somewhere else and fail.
And next thing.
I want to pick it up.
I think Don lost interest.
Yeah, I did.
Don lost interest in 2012, let's be honest.
Oh, well,
He's
yeah.
not Pittsburgh. He doesn't pay attention anyways.
He lost interest after the last Steelers Super Bowl.
It's been a decade, hasn't it?
You know what? But
43.
You know what Don doesn't have, and I think we need to get a GoFundMe for him?
What's that?
He needs a Penguin sweater.
Oh, a jersey?
It's not a
called
jersey.
Sweater in hockey, please.
I do have one Lemieux one. The
I
one with
Respect
black
to the
with
fact that it's Lemieux
it has Pittsburgh written across.
Oh,
It's
I
just
love
Pittsburgh.
those.
in the bandolier.
Yeah. I got the one. It was after they won the back-to-back after Badger Bob
Oh,
died.
the Barrasso years.
Yeah. So
But I've never seen Don wear Penguins gear.
I only have that
Nor
one
have
jersey.
I.
And I don't wear it that often though, because it's only the one jersey I got.
Sweater.
Jersey.
Sweater.
Jersey.
Dumbass.
That's like I just said earlier. It's a football club, not a soccer team. That's what the FC stands for. Boy, we're starting to sound like ESPN talking.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Speaking of that, here's your question for the week. And I've been thinking about this a lot, and Alex and I talked about this a little bit on the phone the other night. Thursday, when the sports world went into chaos,
Further chaos.
soccer matches being canceled, NBA playoff games being canceled, WNBA games being canceled, baseball games being canceled in response to the situation in Wisconsin. I am a huge fan of Highly Questionable. I'm assuming High Noon is gone, but I watch that as well. Around the Horn, pardon the interruption, I'm a day one guy. If I'm not watching it on AT&T TV now, I'm listening to the audio on podcasts. But it's weird because PTI is closer to live than the other two are. Around the Horn tends to tape at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon Central, I believe. And Levitard, I think, is even before that. So all of these things are happening in the sports world, and there's no acknowledgement of it at all on the shows that I watch because they taped before everything went crazy. So I'm starting to wonder. Now, I know that Sports Center is only live like the first hour because then they just replay that over and over and over again, which I'm not a huge fan of, but whatever. But I feel like these talking head shows that are only a half an hour a day, I feel like they should, with everything the way things have been going, they really need to be live so that when stuff breaks, it doesn't feel like there's a sense of apathy from these shows because they're not even mentioning it. Anybody?
Oh, I already have mine locked and loaded, so I was going to let Jen or Don reply first.
You mean how they're delayed and stuff like that? Not bringing it up is your big gripe?
Right, because they're on tape delay. When news breaks, for people that really are just more casual viewers that don't take the time to watch it, it seems like, well, why aren't they talking about this? Don't they care? what's going
Well, I know what you're saying, but sometimes it all depends on when they could tape and all that. There's a couple of issues of availability and stuff like that. So, I can see both sides. I can honestly see both sides. If you want my honest opinion, because let's say they have a schedule down and they tape at 2:00 and they air at 4. I mean, some shows are like that and they need time for editing and stuff like that. So I'm not going to gripe on them too much about that. I'm not really too hee-haw or, going crazy about it.
Jen Rome, you have any thoughts on that?
I haven't really I haven't done live TV in I don't know how long. I use the streaming services. I
watch it on streaming.
But I'm like talking like older shows that are being streamed. I'm not talking necessarily current things. I haven't had the breaking into my show in quite some time for news related current news. I get it on my Facebook. I get text messages, emails, people notifying me other ways on things like that. So I can't really comment on this because I've already been in the world where it's not happening for a few years now.
Fair enough.
I don't say this often. I think you're 100% wrong. I think anybody that would take any outrage at what would appear as apathy is complete ignorance to the situation, because you do have live shows like SportsCenter later on that are meant to cover the day, whereas the talking heads, as you put it, they're covering different material and they're making sure to get the show as right as possible, so it has to be pre-recorded.
Yeah,
now, granted, I understand when there's something major, but that something major should be broke into that show with a SportsCenter one-off or something like that, not their show. Don had a very interesting point that I did not even think of, as far as just the fact that they may not be able to be present for a live update or a live show. If you're looking at daytime talk and wanting it to be live, I think you're asking too much. Go to a live show for that. They have other things that are live. And if somebody's going to take issue with a pre-recorded not being able to pivot and become live, or that they should be live every day, you're asking for a subpar product compared to what you've been down with since day one.
But then the other side of that, too, is when they finally do address it, it's 23 and a half hours later.
One day. Oh, dear.
But in a news cycle that is instant.
Right, but they're not proposing themselves as the live news. So asking them to be part of the live news is making them just like SportsCenter and everything else.
Right, but if then don't address them at all. Because if you're going to wait a whole day to talk about it, by that point, in a news cycle that is 24 hours to the nanosecond, it makes it seem like, oh, we should probably go ahead and talk about this because everybody else is. Why not be on the forefront? Be the people, be the, worldwide leader in sports like you claim to be, because I'm not a guy that's going to sit through an hour of SportsCenter. I agree with Jen Rome that, yes, I'm going to get it on my social media and all that, but this is where I go to get my information. So, yes, I'm going to get alerts on my phone, but this is part of the reason I watch these shows, because I want that analysis that I don't have to wait till minute 57 of a 60-minute show, because you want to sit there and talk about the other headlines that don't matter for the first 45 minutes of SportsCenter. Or we're going to talk about it after the break. You give me this 23-minute chunk where you can give me the information that I need when I need it, but you want to talk about it a day later when it's already been beaten into the ground like a dead horse.
Well, but then your other aspect is you have 23 minutes and you have a set amount that you need or want to cover. Well, now you're breaking in with something and you take up, 10 minutes of the show based on when it happens? Well, now you've basically dismissed everything else. Now, granted, it's important enough to validate the rest of the show, but if you do that for every show, you have the same thing over and over again. And one of the biggest complaints on ESPN is redundancy. So you want them to talk about what they're talking about, be their own people, whether it be, the uniqueness of Lebitard and Poppy, or the dynamic between Kornheiser and Wilbon, assuming Wilbon's there or Kornheiser's there. But at that same time, if you're asking them to all talk about the same breaking news,
vacation.
I'm sorry?
They're still there. You're at the time of year where they take opposite vacations.
Right, but what I'm saying is that if you're asking them all to break in and talk about the same thing, you're talking about the same thing. Let them digest.
But that's what they do now.
I'm sorry.
That's what they do now. All three of those shows basically talk about the same headlines now. Now, again, PTI
Right,
is
but
the one that's closest to live. So that argument is nil because it's the same thing either way.
Well, no, because you were saying you want their input on it. So talking about the same thing gives them the time to formulate their own opinion versus a gut check reaction. And much like we do on this show, if we have anything that's breaking, we can't say that because we don't have all the facts. So you're asking people to break in with the same statement. Now, you look at, Stephen A. and Tony Kornheiser are going to have entirely different points of view.
Yeah.
They're going to have entirely different takes on something, but they will also, well, more often than not, they will formulate how they want to present it for their shows. If you're asking them to break in with the same thing, they're only going to be saying this is X. There is no input, and you're asking for what is essentially the TV version of an editorial to no longer be an editorial.
But I would say 99 times out of 100, the things that break are not... It's not on the level of the world being shocked at the passing of Chadwick Boseman. More often than not in sports, you see this coming a mile away. So that by the time it actually gets here, you should have at least a rudimentary knowledge of the situation and can discuss it openly and intelligently. That's where my problem comes into play.
Oh, and I understand that. But at the same time, do you really want to be watching the same thing over and over again where they have just that rudimentary? Or are you watching these because they're the experts who have time to formulate and plan and take multiple takes should they need it? So at the same time, it's not going to happen.
But,
and I believe it's unreasonable to be an ask.
You're saying that about a show that doesn't do that.
About a show that doesn't do what?
We don't do multiple takes. What you see is what you get.
I'm not talking about our show. I'm talking about what you're referring to on ESPN.
Right, but I'm saying the parallel there.
Right, and one might argue, I'm not saying that it would, or this is even on the table. One might argue that maybe we'd be able to pre-record certain things and do multiple takes, but that's not who we are. You're going to get what you get. You're going to get the real us. But we do have discussions throughout the week about different things, a la what you're talking about with, say, PTI, whereas these guys are setting their schedule. They have other obligations, so they may not be available to do something live every day. And then you're going to wind up with some subpar hack in the seat, and then the shows are going to go into the tank, and they're going to find something else, and we're going to wind up with the Ocho, which I'm kind of okay with.
It's just weird to me, and I don't dig it.
I think I don't want to say neurotic. I think that's just a you thing.
It could be. But
I think that's just you.
But that's what gives us content for the show.
Also fair.
All right, so let's get into some TV talk. We do have a debut date for the miniseries latest version of The Stand on CBS All Access, the Stephen King book that's big enough to kill a mule. That will debut December the 17th. So Merry Christmas.
On what network is that? Or where's it going to
CBS
debut?
All Access.
Okay.
The CW doing a live action version of the Powerpuff Girls. I don't know how I feel about this.
Did they cast friend of the show Dee Rich to be one of the characters? Because she would be amazing as one of the Powerpuff Girls.
They have not made any casting news yet, but I would hope that Dee has at least thrown her hat in the ring.
I mean, and since people do listen to our show, I'm throwing it out there.
Look her up. Dee Rich cosplay.
She'd be amazing.
Probably got that completely wrong, but But you can look her up that way. We love her. Fox, this announcement yesterday or day or before, I'm still trying to figure this out. Do you like the X-Files?
Yes.
Do you like cartoons?
Oh, I'm scared.
Do you like the X-Files as a cartoon comedy series?
No.
No.
It's happening at Fox.
I'm so glad I'm wearing earbuds because otherwise Sean would be screaming and swearing in the other room.
Allegedly, this series will be about an X-Files B team that take all of the cases that Mulder and Scully don't want.
I'm glad you said don't want rather than don't solve.
Yeah.
The crossover worked with Supernatural and Scooby-Doo.
But that was within the series, too.
Well, but I'm saying it went with it, but it worked for those two shows. Those two shows did well doing that. X-Files is not aimed for smaller people. Not that all cartoons are aimed or animation is aimed for smaller people, but there's a tendency for it to be smaller people appropriate. X-Files is not necessarily smaller people appropriate.
But I think with the success of the Star Trek Lower Decks, I think you're going to see a lot more of this. Of properties that you know.
I mean, they did have the two different Ghostbusters cartoons.
Well, that's a completely different thing, because the reason they had to call the other one the real Ghostbusters was because Ghostbusters came before the movie.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying there were two different, but it was successful for both of those cartoons.
One because of the other later, I think. I liked that. Well, the other one. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the real model that we're looking at right now, and we've touched on it on a couple of other shows, is Comedy Central eliminating all live action and just saying what properties can we grab and make animated.
HBO Max has renewed the Selena Gomez cooking season shows, Selena and Chef, for season 2.
I've actually heard a lot of good things about this.
I'm starting to get into this a little bit more. I'm not going to lie.
Intrigued.
Not going to lie. The grill has changed my life. HBO Max also doing a stage version reunion of the cast of The West Wing for a theatrical version of one of their episodes this coming fall to benefit an organization called When We All Vote. You tell me West Wing cast reunion, I'm all in. One of the greatest shows in the history of ever.
Because, we like goldfish.
Goldfish.
That was one of my favorite things, was the whole, told the journalist that she liked goldfish, meaning the crackers, and he actually goes and buys her a true in a bowl goldfish pet. Fair enough. That was season 1.
I need to go. We own the entire series, but they've never released it on Blu-ray, which is weird. Zack Snyder's Justice League. We talked about the rumor about this a few months ago, but it is official that it will be a 4-part miniseries.
Thank God, because otherwise it'd be a heck of a stretch.
Well, my hope is that they're actually going to do the entire 2-part movie that was supposed to be originally what it was, which is why they're breaking it into 4 parts.
That would make sense.
But I don't know what they filmed and what they didn't. So
we gonna learn.
I am very, very much looking forward to this, because last weekend after we went off the air was DC Fandome. So a lot of what you're going to hear today, you may be like, oh, I already knew about this, but we didn't get to talk about it. So, which may or may not have negated a previous argument I had.
Boom. Sorry.
What is today? Just pile on me day?
Not all.
I'm feeling dog piled, and we're what?
Not me.
Multiple dog piles at the 40-minute mark.
Hey, not by me, Rip.
Technically, you just set yourself up for this one.
What I done told you about that once, Don.
I'm done. I'll be good.
Thanks, Alex.
I missed it.
You don't want me to repeat it.
Off air.
You don't want me to repeat it.
So I want to actually, I've been very much looking forward to talking about this just to get your input on James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Because I don't know what to think.
Let's get to that in movie talk.
Oh, you were talking about Fandome, so I made an assumption.
No, we're still in TV talk.
Okay.
There's other TV stuff coming from Fandome that we need to talk about. There will be a prequel series on HBO Max for the Batman. It's going to be called Gotham PD. My hope is that this will be based on Gotham Central as a comic, because it will deal with corruption in the Gotham Police Department.
Is this similar to how they started Gotham on Fox?
No, the Gotham Central comic series was amazing.
Well, no. But I'm saying the where they started the Gotham series on Fox, where it was the focus on James Gordon and kind of the corruption for those first seasons.
They haven't said yet. I don't think it's
Okay.
going to go that way. I think this is going to be more other officers within the division.
Okay.
Because otherwise we're just rehashing Gotham.
True.
Titans Season 3 it will actually take place in Gotham City, and you're going to have Red Hood, Scarecrow, and Barbara Gordon. So I'm very, very interested. I need to get caught up on that show because I've heard really good things, and I like Teen Titans. I'm good with it. The NBC Joe Exotic series with Kate McKinnon. They are covering the bases because you will be able to watch this on NBC, Peacock, and USA.
Wow.
It's going to be in all three places. They better hurry up because that timer might be reading 14:59 on that whole deal.
I think it already is.
Even though I've heard rumors of a season 2.
Oh, dear.
And Netflix is getting a sequel. If you remember a few years ago, did you guys know who McG is?
Yes.
McG did a movie for Netflix 4 or 5 years ago called The Babysitter. And it was about a kid who, of course, had a babysitter who was the smoking hot cheerleader girl, but found out that she was involved with her friends in a satanic cult and they wanted to sacrifice him. You are getting a sequel. It is called The Babysitter Killer Queen.
The Babysitter : Killer Queen?
Correct.
Okay.
And it will be coming to Netflix. McG at the helm yet again. Friend of the show, Jim Bregel, was a big fan of this movie, and he's the one that alerted me to it this week. Alex, what's up? Okay. Nothing on TV, on DVD, and Blu-ray this week.
Wait, before we move off of Netflix.
Yes, ma'am.
As I alerted to Alex yesterday, they dropped Cobra Kai season 1 and season 2 yesterday.
And
so it had been
3.
Yeah, it had been on YouTube. It is now on Netflix. I have started binging it and having happy memories of getting my hug from William at former comic show fan days one time.
Alex showed me the first episode, and I very much enjoyed it. I just haven't gotten back around to it.
So what do you think so far, Jen? How many have you got in, and what do you think of it so far? Do you really, really, really like it, or is it just kind of there?
If I didn't have to get up and be ready for the show today,
Yeah.
I would have just kept binging through it.
Okay.
But because I had to get some sleep, shower for this morning, I didn't get to keep doing that. But I will very soon have it back on my TV.
Okay. Cool enough.
Yeah, I can wholeheartedly support that because the first time it dropped on YouTube, I wound up turning it on going, all right, how bad is this going to be with as much? And I wound up watching the entire season straight through. Just amazing. But now it's also on Netflix. Thank you again, Jen. So I think we all have Netflix at that point, right?
I do.
Mhm.
That's one of the few I
I
have.
watched that great Masters of the Universe documentary a couple of weeks ago. I very much enjoyed. And they've also got the new video game documentary, or documentary series, Game Over. I need to start watching that.
I've heard great things about that.
I started
Not
watching
about
that.
the
I got on the episode 2. It even tells the first one tells the story of the guy who came up with the. He just got done doing Raiders of the Lost Ark for Atari, then he got asked to do ET in 5 weeks, and so he really wanted.
There's a great documentary just about that game alone out there. You need to go check.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I saw
yeah.
that too. Yeah. And finding it in the dump and everything.
And I remember when Atari came out. I mean, I can remember as a child when Atari itself came out. It was over on Plano Road here in Richardson. There was a office for them.
Well, if you go to we have the National Video Game Museum here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area up on the north side, and they actually have, I don't know if they still have it on display, but they actually have, if you remember, like when you would go to your local retail store and they had the display where you could play the Atari games, they actually have one of those.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing. Excuse me. I apologize for that. So, music news. Congratulations to the Katy Perry and the Orlando Bloom. They welcomed their baby into the world this week. Daisy Dove Bloom is her name.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, and that's just after she releases her new album, so all is right in the Perry Bloom household. So God love you. Also this week, just found out Lee Daniels. Remember, this is the guy that did The Butler a few years ago. Next year, he will be doing a biopic on Billie Holiday, which I am very much looking forward to.
Very intriguing.
I like his work a lot, and I'm a big fan of learning more about her story. New albums this coming Friday, because we are doing the show today and not tomorrow. This coming Friday being next week. Big Sean with a brand new album called Detroit 2. Lana Del Rey's new album, which still doesn't have a title yet because Lana Del Rey. And Tricky is back with Fall to Pieces. I believe this is a metal band, not the hip-hop artist. So I think that's DJ Tricky. I think it's well, also friend of the show, DJ Tricky Kid, who we're big fans of. If you're not checking out the Tricky Kid podcast, you need to. That guy's got some amazing guests on his show. All right, let's get into movie talk, friends and neighbors. Did you see this Tenet story this week?
Which one?
Christopher Nolan playing a little bit of hardball. He has stated, because the question has come up, will Tenet play in drive-in theaters? The statement from Christopher Nolan is, if there are other theaters in the area that are not open, Tenet will not play in a drive-in theater in that area.
Say that one more time. There was a bit of a weaving path.
Okay, so let's just say the drive-in down in Ennis, which I got to go to and watch Coming to America this week with friends of the show, Mikey and Jennifer Kraft. Had a great time. Always love watching that movie, much less in a drive-in setting. And by the way, for those of you that were wondering, it wasn't a double feature because right now the Galaxy's only showing one movie at a time. So both movies were on separate theaters, separate screens at the same time. So I felt bad for people that wanted to watch them both. Didn't care because I got to see Coming to America. So let's say Tenet releases. The Galaxy wants to show it. If the other theaters in their area are not open, they don't get to show it. Now, the Galaxy has a little bit of an advantage due to the fact that there is not another movie theater probably within 20 miles. The Coyote in Fort Worth, however, a little bit of a different story because they've got an AMC there in downtown Fort Worth. Now, the AMC by the house, I'm told, is open at Stonebriar. So
strange power play.
I know. Why wouldn't you want this on every screen you can possibly get it on? Now, granted, I know he wants it in the high formats. I get it. It's Nolan being Nolan. But
why is he pushing for theaters to open to put people close together?
The only thing I could think of is he just wants more screens. He doesn't care about anything else.
As Tony Kornheiser likes to quote the great book, All the President's Men, the answer to all of your questions is money.
Yeah.
And now would I see Tenet at a drive-in? Probably not. This looks like the kind of film that I want to see in like a Dolby Cinema.
Definitely.
Now, on the official statement, Nolan has said that they don't want all of the plot twists and secrets of the movie getting out, but it's whether you show it at a drive-in or not, people are going to drive by, or are they just not going to drive by the drive-in and see a screen?
Well, I think with the drive-in, I mean, unfortunately, there's the whole world of pirating. And with a drive-in, it's a little easier to be able to film it from your iPad, your iPhone, versus being in a theater, it's easier for them to find if someone's using a device to record.
I would think it would be more difficult because people are in their cars, though.
But you're in your car, so it's not so easy to see that someone's doing that.
That's what I'm saying. If I'm in my car, it would be harder to see me recording than it would be in a movie theater.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Well, he doesn't want it in the drive-in because it's going to be easier to get away with.
Okay, I thought you were going the other way.
Oh, no. If you're in your car, or even if you're, a couple
but that
a little ways away with a good lens.
Are you saying because it would be more exclusive in that area?
At a drive-in, it'd be easier to get away with pirating it.
Right, but what the correlation I'm trying to make, though, is how does that affect him saying you can't have it if other theaters in your area aren't open?
Because if it's in the other theaters, there's less opportunity. There's less of them open right now.
Or less of a demand for the pirated copy, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. I can roll with you on that.
I think we just put more thought into it than he did, which was just money, like you said.
Well, and there are also rumors that this actually might be a sequel to Inception. And if that's the case, that actually lessens my want to see it because I thought Inception was a flaming turd.
Well, there is the actor in common.
But I want nothing but success for John David Washington.
Also that.
I want him to win all the awards all the time because he's amazing. And if you want to debate me and you haven't watched Black Klansman, you're wrong.
If you want to debate me, you could have ended it at that because irrelevant.
I mean,
he's amazing.
Well, I can understand like people with like, well, in Ballers, he there wasn't much of a stretch. Watch Black Klansman. It's amazing and he's phenomenal. And if it's one thing you can say about Spike Lee, if he directs somebody with the last name Washington, it's about to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And he was already in one Spike Lee movie as a child.
Yep.
Amy Adams has joined the musical movie version of Dear Evan Hansen. So you got that going for you, which is nice. We do have a title for the Shazam sequel that came out of FanDome. It is called Fury of the Gods. What do you mean, oh no? I loved Shazam.
I didn't like that. I'm being honest.
Why did you like Shazam?
I just thought it was stupid. I just didn't find the thing that great. I'm gonna be honest.
No, but what about it made you not like it so much?
The plot wasn't that great, and there's a lot of things in the film I just did not like, and it was just I thought the plot was stale. The comedy, they tried to make it too funny, and the comedy fell flat. I'm just being honest. I was just like, there's another movie.
Let me ask you this, Don.
I'm being honest.
No, and I respect that, but I need to put this in proper framework. Did you have any background with the character before the movie?
Not really. I mean, I knew of the character,
okay,
but not really.
That may be why. Because I do have background with Captain Marvel / Shazam, because there's a whole thing behind that. I enjoyed it because to me it really did envelop who the character is. And I could understand if you don't have that background, why that, given the seriousness of all the other DC Extended Universe movies, that maybe I could see where maybe the wheels would have fallen off. But I really did enjoy that film.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, but
Warner Brothers also looking to bring to the big screen Static Shock. I am all on board with this. Do you remember that show from the 90s on, I think it was on Kids WB, showed that. So they have not said it's live action or animated or not. Kate Dippold. This is the lady that was the screenwriter for the last Ghostbusters film, which I enjoyed. It wasn't as good as the first two, but I enjoyed Ghostbusters Answer the Call. Credit to Devin Pike for calling it that. But she also wrote The Heat, which I think is a great movie. Mm-hmm. But she is writing a new script for Because We Need This, a new film version of Haunted Mansion because the Eddie Murphy version did so well.
You know what? I'd like to see it give a chance because I could see where they wanted to go with the Eddie Murphy one and it just floundered, if I may use another Disney term there. Flounder from Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid. I was thinking Animal House at first, but okay.
Oh, yeah. But to see what they can do with it, because there really is a story there. We just haven't gotten to see it. And maybe she can do something, and I don't know. I've got hope for what she can do with it.
I just don't know if I need this as a film, because Jungle Cruise doesn't do much for me. I mean, I'll go because it's Dwayne.
I'm looking forward to it. But I guess, I mean, I like the idea of the rides having the story to, because we've always had the rides, and there's some of them like Peter Pan, the story that goes with it. But some of these don't actually have a story.
Well, Haunted Mansion actually does. It's just not one that's, I don't know what the word is looking for, published well. But there is an actual story behind the Haunted Mansion of who owned it and what happened to him and why now the mansion is haunted because of it. And it fell flat.
It's not common knowledge.
Right. And that's why I'm saying let's get a chance to get it out there for people to know this story.
I just hope they're actually using the actual story and not using it as a centerpiece for a story that's not related.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of feel like with Jungle Cruise. Like, it's not
But
It's
I mean,
not
look how well Pirates did.
Pirates, for me, I enjoyed the first one. Now, granted, financially, I am not going to debate you. Those movies,
Right.
no pun intended, a boat ton of money. I like the first one, and they just got progressively lamer for me as time went on.
That is an accurate statement.
And I do like that they put Johnny Depp into the ride. I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
Well, to be fair, much
Don,
like what we
Don doesn't have an opinion on this because he has a bias to that series because of who's in it.
My future ex-wife. No, I'm being honest. I mean,
My future ex-wife. I'm being honest.
That's
Yeah.
the Keira Knightley.
Okay, now I will say this, that and I hate to use this pun, but the series jumped the shark. It got ice aged out after about the third one. So, but the first couple were good. I really did like it. So I'm being honest, and I thought they did a good job with that. And what you said where they added the Johnny Depp thing to it, I think that's kind of an homage to the movies. It's cool that they did that. So,
an Amish.
No,
homage.
You think
Homage.
Oh, okay.
Homage and
I
homage
misheard
are
that.
both acceptable.
Homage.
No. I thought he said Amish, as in
Oh, no.
the
As in Pennsylvania quilt.
It's not.
No.
He's allowed to use either one of those because it's not a resiliency situation.
No. I'm only confirming that I misheard, not that he said it wrong.
Your Scream reboot now is set for 2022, so adjust your scorecards accordingly. So last week on the show, we talked about that I had seen the cover for the Batman Death in the Family cover, how it was going to be an interactive film. It's coming out in October, and I'm very excited. DC Fandome, they did announce Superman, A Man of Tomorrow, but we knew that was coming. The other thing they announced, and Alex, I don't know if you saw this other announcement, but it was a very "you have my attention" announcement. We are getting a 2-part animated Batman movie of The Long Halloween. And I am here for it.
Yeah, this one has actually been in talks for development for a little while, but they didn't know what it was going to happen. There was actually allegedly a mini bidding war on who was going to get to use the material and jump into it. But I'm a big fan of just about every Batman animated because it's, if I'm being honest, it's the best format.
It's a series that we're going to be doing coming up
Oh, yeah.
because I've got them all now. But for those of you that don't know what The Long Halloween is, this was literally a year-long story that took place from October to October. This was the introduction of Calendar Man into the Batman universe. And every issue took place at a different holiday where he would perpetrate a different crime. Dark Victory was actually the sequel to this. Tim Sale did it. It is an amazing story. So when you hear, and they used a little bit of it in The Dark Knight, when you hear people say, "I believe in Harvey Dent," The Long Halloween is where that came from. So I am absolutely excited for this film. I'm ready for it. Let's get to it right now. But they haven't announced casting or release date or anything, but they did announce that at Fandome, and I am here for it. I teased that there is a series coming up. Last year, DC Animation release, and General, I don't know if I told you about this, and I traded in a bunch of stuff to get it, but they have an 18-disc set of almost every Batman animated movie ever. And it includes Mask of the Phantasm. It does not have Sub-Zero, but I was able to get that when I got Batman the Animated Series. So I actually now have 2 copies of Mask of the Phantasm because that's in there too.
I may have to come hang out.
So
I know that's not going to get loaned out, but I may have to come hang out.
Well, we're going to watch them all in order. That's going to be the next thing we're going to do. And we're going to do individual episodes talking about each one. But I've also gotten the ones since then. So it stops right before Hush, which I can't wait to watch Hush because I haven't talked to anybody that's watched it that didn't say it wasn't amazing. So I've got Hush, and then I was able to get, and I know, but I've heard this is actually really, really good. They did a Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. that
that actually piques my interest.
Well, I've talked to people that have seen it. They said, actually, don't let the title fool you. It's actually really well done. So I now have all of the Batman animated movies. I do have the Batman Beyond, but I only have it on DVD. I did see it available on Blu-ray, but I'm going to see if it's included on the Batman Beyond Blu-ray set. If it's not, then I'll have to go get it. But I'm really excited about The Long Halloween. It's an amazing story. If you haven't checked it out, do so. It's a really well-written story. You can get it trade, and the trade hardback, it hurts me that I got rid of it before we moved. But that may be one I may have to reacquire, especially now that I have this awesome bookshelf behind me. Thank you, Alex.
You can thank Sean on that one.
Well, it came from your household, so therefore. And by the way, Jen Rome and Alex with new artwork on their back walls this week. So there is that. No Blu-ray or DVD. This week's Blu-ray releases is there's just nothing out there.
Well, there hasn't been anything in the theater to release.
I was just thinking like there's to be some big re-releases as we're getting into closer to the holiday season. Because I know we just had the Flash Gordon 4K re-release a couple of weeks ago. But no, not even anything on Criterion this week, which is a very rarity. Alex, did you look like you want to say something?
Well, I just came across something, but we are out of TV talk.
We can go back. We can go back because we can do this. We have breaking news live to Rockwall, Texas, to Alex.
We have a potential start date for filming the Rogue One prequel show for Disney Plus.
Okay, and that would be
November. November in the UK
series, right?
I'm sorry.
That's the Cassian Andor series.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But Diego Luna has even talked about starting in the fall, but now they have time.
Sir, friend of the show.
Well,
Diego Luna.
Yes.
Because we have to
Friend
give
of the
credit
show,
where credit
Diego
due.
Luna.
Don landed that fish.
Oh yeah.
That was
I don't know if he would take offense to being called a fish, but
that is a
heck of a marlin of a guest.
I think Don, you'd agree with me on that.
Yeah.
That was a night of mixed emotions for this show.
Oh yeah. Well, after the fact, not at the moment.
Well, no, remember that happened during the show.
Well, we found out right when it got done off the air.
No, but you said on the air, I gotta go.
Yeah, and that was right after their interview. Right during the interview, it was like, oh my god, then they get the call, and it's like,
Like friend of the show, Diego Luna.
Yeah.
Well, they are scheduled to shoot from November through July.
Oh wow!
So it's a long stretch.
A couple of quick tech talk headlines. One of which will segue into our major announcement. The DirecTV sale rumors are swirling again. And in doing so, Dish Network and AT&T stocks have increased. So you got that going for you. We also have the announced team that has been revealed for WWE Battlegrounds. Alex, did you see this?
I have not.
Your announced team for the WWE Battlegrounds video game. I guarantee you're going to be in on 50% of this.
Okay.
The one you may not be in on is Jerry the King Lawler.
I'm not out on Jerry the King Lawler.
However, his broadcast partner for WWE Battlegrounds is the legend himself, Mauro Ranallo.
And all the way in.
Given the animation style of this, I really want to hear how Mauro does this. I'm now more in on this game than I was 3 hours ago.
I'm in on watching this game. I may not be in on buying or playing it, but
I don't know how I feel about throwing my opponent into the open mouth of an alligator.
See,
but
that's a pro for me, not a con.
Depending on who's being thrown.
Yeah, that's true too.
All right, so let's talk about tomorrow night because we're getting close to the end of our time together today. We've been talking to you guys for months about doing something because our friends at Vocal, who we are so honored to be a part of, we're in the new studio, and everybody on this show, I think, can attest to how awesome the new studio is, where we get to sit together and we have the TVs behind us. A lot of people have been saying how awesome the show looks when they watch it. We tried to get this done for Mania. We couldn't get everything together. Got a call from Ted Price over at Vocal this week saying, hey, man, you want to do this on Sunday? Luckily, I was at lunch at the time because I giggled like a schoolgirl in the middle of our lunchroom at the job. Said to Alex, you want to do this thing, man? He's like, let's put it together. So here's what's going to happen with the Cheap Popcast tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central. I know on pay-per-view days we normally do 3:30, but there's a reason.
3 Pacific.
Did I? Okay.
You said Central.
I get excited.
I know you did. That's why I wanted to make sure that we have people
Eastern,
getting the right
3
time.
Pacific. Normally it's 3:30 Eastern. But we're changing it up tomorrow. So the Cheap Popcast will be on at 6 o'clock Eastern. What you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, Rob, tomorrow's WWE Payback. The WWE Kickoff Show starts at 6 o'clock Eastern. I know. Because here's what's going to happen. Don's going to be with us via Google Hangout. Alex and I will be in studio. And Jen Rome, get ready for it. Because sitting in the middle chair will be Leonard Anderson. LA will be with us tomorrow. Don will be with us virtually. When the WWE Kickoff Show starts, we will start the Cheap Popcast. Now, the way we're going to do picks tomorrow, by the way, Alex won in a landslide last week. The way we're going to do picks is not the way we normally do it. We're going to start our normal conversation like we do. But when the picks come up on the Kickoff Show, that's when we will do the picks on our show. We're going to coincide. So here's what I'm going to want you to do. Tomorrow, when the Kickoff Show starts at 6 Eastern, I want you to go ahead and pull up the Kickoff Show on your TV on the WWE Network. Then I want you to mute that audio. Go to your computer.
Reasons.
Oh, yeah, there's that. Go to your computer. Go to your phone. Go to your tablet. Whatever you do with Vocal, pull us up. Because we are going to be at the same time. We may go on just a few minutes early, just so that we can make sure you're synced up with us in real time. We'll tell you when to start the thing, and we're going to be live from the Kickoff Show until the end of the pay-per-view. We're going to be in studio live. So when Payback starts at 7 Eastern, we're finally doing it, you guys. We are going to be doing our own watch-along for WWE Payback. It'll be myself, it'll be Alex, and it will be LA. Because we're now, you may say, well, why isn't Don going to be on? Because we're trying to work out the logistics of having someone on virtually and having the pay-per-view up. So hopefully, because we found out today we've got another pay-per-view three or 4 weeks later, because it is now Clash of Champions on September 27th. We are going to be live in the studio giving you a watch-along with the pay-per-view tomorrow night. So even if you can say, Rob, I'm not a professional wrestling fan. I would say that kind of don't matter. Tune in with us. We're not necessarily going to give you alternate play-by-play. We might, but we are going to be giving you our own thoughts of the pay-per-view. Normally, we would live tweet. We might still be live tweeting. We don't know yet. But we are so excited for our first watch-along tomorrow night. And for an experimental one, Payback's probably a good one. Because there ain't much going on. It's going to give us a chance to really kind of experiment and get the wheels on everything. So by the time Survivor Series gets here, we kind of have it worked out. Now, we're also Studio B is not done yet, so we won't be in Studio B just yet. We will be in Studio A.
And in real time, one of the things that we had during SummerSlam was actually calling stuff that were going to happen in Payback. So if you don't feel like reading or anything, we'll tell you live on air.
General.
And I will say, I adore LA. He's amazing. He may not be as pretty as me, but he will add to the
argue
show.
Otherwise.
He would probably argue with me on that, but
But
I don't know that you can call a man pretty.
Yeah, and we have that man would.
That's true.
We have a slew of people that have already reached out and said, Rob, I want to be a part of this. On this one, because this is a beta test, we had to keep the number small. Now, coming up when Studio B's done and we have the big watch-alongs that Alex and I are going to be doing, that's going to be different. So those of you that have reached out to me, believe me, we have you in mind, just not for this one because it's the first one and we got to figure out how it works first. So,
And I agree that LA will add a lot to it.
LA does, and he's great. Those of you that do the picks, you can go ahead and send them to me if you would like, whether you want to text them to me or email them at rob@theclubhousepodcast.com. Hold on to that because we got an announcement on that front too. Before we go on air, I'm going to give you guys a little bit more grace on that because we're not going to go on till 5 Central. So that's going to give you a little bit more time. I am so excited about this. I have been giddy since, what was it, Wednesday we got the call, Alex? Yeah, because you were still
might be an understatement.
I am so excited. We've been trying to get this put together for almost 6 months and probably even longer. But this is the start of a much bigger process for this show and for Vocal. And the fact that Vocal is allowing us to do this and they're on board with us, we're very thank you, Ted. Thank you, Jay, for stepping up and wanting to be a part of it. We also want a quick shout out to Ren, who was our engineer last week and did an amazing job for us.
Awesome.
So we will be on with the Cheap Popcast tomorrow. Next weekend, I'm not sure what's going to happen yet because we as a team have not talked about it yet. Alex will be getting ready to go out of town. So we've got to figure out, plus it's the holiday weekend. I want to make sure what everybody's thoughts are, and we can talk about that later on. Anything else we want to talk about before we get out of here, guys?
I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
We briefly talked about something from Fandom before we went on air last week.
Okay.
Did you get a chance to see the trailer for the Suicide Squad video game?
I did.
And
you realize who the villain actually is?
I did have this told to me.
It's Starro the Conqueror.
Yes.
Which is the first time that he has ever been used in a video game at all. Mm-hmm. I think the only time they've ever used him, period, was in the Justice League comic books outside of the regular DC universe. So, also, you had your trailer for Gotham Knights, which looks amazing. And the very first time ever that Batgirl has been a playable character.
Really?
Yes. So the storyline is
playable in something else.
Bruce Wayne has died. And so in order to protect Gotham, you can play as Batgirl, Red Hood, Nightwing, or Robin.
Ooh, there's only 2 clear answers for me.
Go watch this trailer. It's amazing. And if the gameplay looks anything like this trailer, it's going to blow your mind. And the Suicide Squad game looks great too.
Yeah, Rocksteady does amazing work.
But they still haven't announced for the movie who's voicing King Shark, have they?
Yes, they have.
Who is it?
Steve Agee.
Oh, okay. Because I know in the video game it's Samoa Joe.
Right, and in the Harley Quinn animated, it's Ron Funches fantastically. But since we just briefly touched on the Suicide Squad movie, we said we would come back to it. What was your input on that?
On the movie or the video game?
The movie. We established the video game looks awesome, and the writing sounds great.
I haven't seen enough of it to make a formed judgment. I'm really looking forward to see how John Cena is the Peacemaker.
Did you see his description?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I'm just a douchey Captain America.
Those were his words.
Yes.
But no, I'm looking forward to seeing what James Gunn does with the film. It's James Gunn. I mean, this is the guy that did both Guardians of the Galaxy movies, so he gets a pass with me. So, and Rooker. I love Rooker. He is in it. My dear friend Maddie Marr is going to be very happy. Sean Gunn is in it as well, even though it's just his voice.
Oh, but I'm sure he was in the green screen too.
So it looks good. It's got to be better than the last one. I'm just saying. Anything else, guys?
Enough. The Gotham Knights game is developed by WB Games Montreal that handled Batman.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Origins.
Who was that? That did it?
I will restart so that I can take the proper pause.
Thank you.
Get ready, guys. Gotham Knights is actually being produced by WB Games of Montreal. who also handled Batman Arkham Origins, which was a bit of a stretch from what Rocksteady had done with the other Arkham series, but was widely well received. So
but go
both of these
check out
games
this
should be good.
trailer. It looks so amazing. All right. We are so glad that you stuck with us today. Make sure that you visit our website, www.theclubhousepodcast.com. Find out everything you need to know and some stuff you don't. Follow us on social media. Twitter is @Clubhouse Show. Everything else is The Clubhouse Podcast. All 3 words in that order, or you will wind up somewhere else. You can follow me on social media if you would like. Everything is that Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN.
I am Vexploit on all social media. If you'd like to reach me by email, you can get to me at alex@theclubhousepodcast.com. And if you want to help out the show, go to prowrestlingtees.com/thecheapopcast and buy shirts. It does help both shows.
Don, you're off the hook this week.
Oh, I know. Okay.
I'm Jen Rome Home on Instagram, and I also now have a Clubhouse Podcast email address, jen@theclubhousepodcast.com.
And again, if you want to get those wrestling tees, it's at prowrestlingtees.com/thecheapopcast. And so I can get this thing rolling and not forget, my Twitter is Igbunu, IGBUNUUU. Also, email me, Don@theclubhousepodcast.com. See, I didn't forget to do my plugs after I did the thing. I got it right. So I'm progressing.
Because Alex already did it.
I know. Well, next time.
Email Don for information on how we can come to a live show for you. We love doing live shows and hang out with the Empire, especially when the world gets back to abnormal. You can email me questions, comments, concerns. Tell me to go pound sand. I am Rob@theclubhousepodcast.com. Charlotte Parker's on Pinterest because we're morally obligated to say that. Our normal show every Sunday night, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, is your one-stop shop for all things pop culture. We are so glad that you spend your time with us as often as you do. Let us know what you're up to. We'd love to hear from you. So until next time, for Jen Rome, for Don, for Alex, for the Empire, I'm Rob. Clubhouse is closed. Brittany Palmer still getting it done out there. Follow her on social media.